Remember, they all knew about Hunter Biden's corruption. They all knew about the laptop, and they tried to hide it from the American people. And when it was exposed, they censored those who exposed it. We have several FOIA lawsuits, including a new one on Hunter Biden's laptop. Yes, believe it or not, the Justice Department, the FBI are hiding records protecting Hunter Biden over his laptop scandal. Really outrageous. And these scandals are not going away. They require adjudication, education, and pursuit. And Judicial Watch doesn't believe that we should forget about a corruption scandal that happened literally 2 minutes ago in terms of American history, especially as the ramifications continue to this day. And specifically in Ukraine, as I've observed before, one of the reasons Russia thought, I believe, that they could invade Ukraine with impunity is because of Biden's corruption. They knew about his corruption. They knew about Hunter Biden in Ukraine, who was buddies with Burisma on the board of directors of Burisma, which was a Russia-friendly agency or company. And there were all sorts of other issues related to Russia as well that the Russians knew full well Biden was up to his neck in corruption. In fact, we had documents come out from the Biden State Department talking about how the Russians were trolling President Biden, or then Vice President Biden, on his anti-corruption work in Ukraine because they knew all about Hunter and Burisma. And they were mocking him. And it's that type of mockery and lack of respect they knew Biden was compromised. So was it the reason they invaded Ukraine? No, obviously. Was it a reason? Did it make it, when you're doing your pros and cons, your pros are, well, Biden's corrupted and compromised, we can probably push him. I'm convinced that's the case. But since then, obviously, Joe Biden took the extraordinary step of pardoning his son for specific crimes that he was prosecuted for, which may be appropriate, but also going back for years for crimes that aren't named. And to me, that makes it inappropriate, null and void. On top of the whole auto pen fiasco, which shows that the evidence shows that Biden didn't really involve himself, at least as documented and testified to by his top aides at the White House, in affirming these pardons. There's no evidence he affirmed them, other than him saying after the fact, oh yeah, well, I signed those pardons or I agreed with them. I mean, that may not be enough. So when President Trump noted a few weeks ago, I think it was last week maybe, that the pardons are null and void, he is righter than right. But I would ask, why is Pam Bondi and Kash Patel's agencies, the FBI under Patel and the DOJ under Bondi, still hiding records on Hunter Biden? We had to sue in federal court. I don't like having to sue, believe it or not. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't get to sue, but Judicial Watch does. We prefer just to get the documents and not have to go to federal court for them. And these documents, we asked for the records back in, let's go to the press release here, 2025, back in the beginning of this year, January of 2025. All FBI investigative reports, witness interviews, summaries, memoranda, and other records related to the investigation of Hunter Biden's laptop. All emails, text messages, link messages, there's a specific program they have to communicate, and other electronic communications records related to the Hunter Biden laptop. And when you look at the lawsuit, this is something interesting here. Let me bring up the lawsuit here for you, because I want you to see just how obstructive that this FBI has been under Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who I'm friendly with. But I don't understand why they're not paying attention to this. And if they find out about it as a result of this video, that'd be great. They should ask their underlings what the heck's going on here. I want to show you this because this is pretty important. Let's hit view. So here's the complaint. This is the official federal lawsuit Judicial Watch filed against the Justice Department. So just so you know, when you want FBI records, you got to sue the Justice Department. Because it's, you know, the FBI likes to pretend they're different than they're not. They're an agency. They're a Justice Department agency. So you don't sue the FBI, you sue the Justice Department for FBI records. So we asked for the records. For records categorized, time between January 2019 to the present, because in 2019, that's when the FBI got the laptop. The FBI categorically denied plaintiff's request. Plaintiff is Judicial Watch, which had been on March 18th, 2025. You see that? Paragraph 7. On March 19th, plaintiff, Judicial Watch, administratively appealed the FBI's denial to the defendant's Office of Information Policy. So this is what happens sometimes when you are in FOIA. You file the Freedom of Information Act request at with the federal agency, and if it's denied, you can appeal the denial internally, administratively. In this case, in this agency, to the Office of Information Policy. And administratively, they're supposed to take a look as to what the decision was and administratively give you justice and hopefully get you the documents. On September 11th, 2025, the Office of Information Policy informed plaintiff that upon consideration of the appeal, it had remanded the request to the FBI for further processing. You know, what does that mean? We won, at least administratively. And the FBI hasn't done anything since. We received no further communication from the agency since September 11th of this year. And that's why we sued. So we asked for these Hunter Biden records. They categorically denied them, citing in part Hunter Biden's, well, not in part, actually in whole, FOIA exemptions B6 and B7C are all privacy exemptions. So they're hiding records to protect, or were hiding records to protect Hunter Biden's privacy. So why is the Justice Department protecting Hunter Biden? And internally, they were slapped for hiding the records from Judicial Watch, and we still don't have them, and now we're in federal court. So, when the Justice Department does the right thing, I'll be second to none in praising it. Second to none. But when they're slow or withholding information contrary to law, I gotta call them out. Judicial Watch calls them out literally by going and suing them in federal court. So it's frustrating to have to sue this Justice Department and this FBI in federal court to get access about something like Hunter Biden's laptop information and how that case was handled or / mishandled. So I know many people say, well, they're building a case. They can't give you the records. Or no, they're not. And if they were, they're supposed to tell us you can't have the records because it might impair law enforcement proceedings and such. They haven't said any of that. So all the excuses that sometimes people come up with to justify government withholdings don't apply. We know what we're doing. So here we are, nearly a year after President Trump has come into office, and the FBI has been slow walking key records about Hunter Biden's corruption, Joe Biden's family corruption, the whole kit and caboodle for almost a year. The Justice Department's refusal to release, and the FBI's refusal to release these basic investigative records raises serious questions about transparency about one of the biggest corruption scandals in American history, the Hunter Biden laptop, the cover-up. Remember, they all knew about Hunter Biden's corruption. They all knew about the laptop, and they tried to hide it from the American people. And when it was exposed, they censored those who exposed it, the New York Post, etc. Yours truly. You know, we had to sue for records on Joe Biden's pardon of Hunter. We just sued this summer on it. We had to sue the National Archives. Again, still fighting that this National Archives under President Trump for Biden family records and communications, basically their RICO operation. We sued the IRS for Hunter Biden records back in February. I mean, we'd already exposed how the CIA rushed through that letter, the 51 anti-Trump intel officials signed to try to fool the American people into thinking the Hunter Biden laptop was a sham. The CIA rushed through approval of that letter to interfere in our election. Judicial Watch proved that. We found the documents there. So we normally ask for records. We're not doing it just for the sake of asking for records. We generally know there's something to be found. I mean, our instincts are what your instincts are. There's usually a cover-up. Numerous lawsuits about the corruption involved in the censorship of Hunter Biden. And as I said earlier, information confirming that the Ukraine was the center of a corruption scandal involving until just less than a year ago, the President of the United States, Joe Biden. And yes, it's important still today because we've got a war going on in Ukraine, I think caused in part by Joe Biden's corruption. So hopefully we get the documents. Every once in a while, the Justice Department gives us documents, which is good. But you know what? Every once in a while, the Biden people gave us documents too that were not flattering. So what am I saying? The Justice Department, FOIA's operation, in terms of transparency, under the Freedom of Information Act. I'm not talking about releasing records to Congress or all of that. I'm talking about we have a right to records under the law, and they're not complying with the law on key issues like Hunter Biden's corruption, Joe Biden's corruption, which of course is tied to the lawfare against Trump, because to distract from that corruption, what did they try to do? Impeach and jail Donald J. Trump. And why are his people, President Trump's people, hiding the information about that scandal from the American people? That's what's going on right now. So let's hope someone wakes up. In the meantime, Judicial Watch will maybe shake them awake, right? Through a federal court lawsuit. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.